Is it obsession? At Sawyer, it's persistence. For over 55 years, we've pursued the harmony of precision and artistry. Our handcrafted paddles and oars unite industry-leading innovation with timeless craftsmanship. Each stroke tells a story shaped by the perfect balance of wood and carbon honed through decades of refinement. The result? The finest paddles and oars on the water for those who demand nothing less than excellence. Experience the art of performance. Experience Sawyer.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Sawyer Live at the Factory. We are back once again for another edition of our factory chat. We will kind of go over a similar format, and today we've got a special guest. I'm actually joined today by Alexis. Alexis is one of our manufacturing guys, and he has agreed to participate in the factory talk. So pretty much we're going to start off with a couple key kind of maintenance and care items for the beginning here, and that's primarily what we're going to start our piece with. Then in the middle, we'll pretty much go into some new products and some things that you may not be aware of from our line. And then we'll wrap it up with some events that we got coming up and some little messages from the F3T crew out there in Missoula, Montana. So to kick this right off, if you do have any questions, we are live and we do have folks that are monitoring our chat. So if you have any questions during this time, fire them off. We'll do our best to answer them live while we're here. But if not, we'll definitely follow up and make sure that we get you checked with. So real quick, kind of give you a little introduction to Alexis. Alexis, how long have you been here for?
Been here for a year and a half around.
About a year and a half.
Yes, sir.
And we definitely like to dive into cross-training here at Sawyer. And so Alexis was fortunate enough to start off kind of in the midfield in the glassing department. So a lot of wet layup glassing, similar to the manufacturing of surfboards, but we do that for making blades and making oars. And now he's moved into our composite shafts department. So he's working in that department now. And both of those are very similar. You're dealing with a lot of epoxies, dealing with a lot of cure times, and also kind of when something cures for that overnight, you get to see whether it worked out really well or if you had something you had to rework.
Correct.
And is that both those things are kind of a little similar in when you're back in the glassing and blades,
Yes, sir.
and similar in the shafts as well, right?
Both very similar.
Yeah. So,
Similar outlay, like setting things on it, wetting it. Both similar. So, obviously you got to get it down perfect, because if you don't, take some time, but basically very similar to.
Yeah, and it's a timing issue, right? So
Exactly.
you're working with that timing, and as we always know here at Sawyer is like both of the areas that Alexis has been working in is we battle the cure. So if it's really hot, things cure too fast. If it's really cold, things cure a little slow. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is some real basic maintenance. We're going to talk about some grip removal and replacement. And then we're also going to talk about just putting on oar stops. And there's definitely a technique to that. We'll kind of do a step-by-step, and Alexis is going to help me kind of demonstrate that to you. The first thing we're going to do is replace an oar stop or an oar grip. So you look here at this grip, and you can see that around the handle there, you might not be able to see it all that well, but around the handle there, it's definitely getting some wear. So if you're getting wear on your composite shafts and you're getting wear in the handles, then you should actually revarnish your handles. And to do that properly, you need to replace your grip. So there's a couple real easy steps. We're going to show you just kind of basically how we're going to take it off first. And then we actually keep our grips and our stops in a convection oven in the shop in the next bay over. And we keep that convection oven at 145 degrees all day long. And so it keeps everything nice and pliable. So definitely when you're dealing with grips or dealing with stops, heat is your friend. So if you don't have a convection oven, you can use a heat gun. You can use a regular oven. Just got to be careful not to melt down your grips or your stops. But convection oven at 145 seems to work really great for us. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to remove the grip. I'll give you the trusty blade, and I'll set this up here. So in order to actually get the grip off, all we're going to do is just slice it with the blade and then peel it off like a banana. So Alexis, go ahead, give it a shot.
Yes, sir.
And nice and easy. All good. Perfect. And now, when you open that up, pretty much you can just peel off the grip. You can see it's going to come off. The grip actually down underneath the oar grip itself is not really damaged. It's very protected because it's had that grip on there. But the area that you're focusing on is literally right here in the top cap. So Alexis, if you'd head over to the convection oven, grab yourself a grip, and you might as well grab a stop as well because we'll do that next.
Yes,
all
sir.
right?
I'll be right back.
Cool. So now you might be saying, why do I want to get rid of that grip? You know, I could do that, kind of paint around it. Yes, you can kind of varnish around it, but it's not going to really be that clean. And a lot of times, by the time somebody gets around to replacing their grips, their handles need that attention. And the reason it's so important is if this area right here between the shaft and the grip actually gets damaged and you start to expose wood in there, you can literally get all of this damage to fester in there. You can break your handle off. So it's definitely something you got to take care of. Protect your handles, put some varnish on them. All right. Alexis, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Most definitely
So,
ready.
the secret sauce that we use for putting on grips is actually aerosol hairspray. And you literally can get that anywhere. It's becoming harder and harder to find, but any brand will work. But aerosol hairspray does two things: works as a lubricant as you're putting the grip on, and then an adhesive once the grip is in place. So Alexis, go ahead. I will stabilize that for you.
Yes, sir. So first you spray the handle right there, not too much, and a little spray in there. He's gonna hold it down while I put this on. You want to be careful and make sure it is down on the ground, because if not, it will have a little air bubble on the top, and that's what you don't want. So we'll just go. And to make sure you have no air bubble up on the top right there, you want to spin it in as you put the handle in. And most of the time you will not have an air bubble. And that is how you put on the handle right there. Easy, fairly easy. But like he said, you want to make sure it is always hot, because the colder it is, the harder it is going to be to slip on there. So
yeah, heat is your friend, and that actually allows it to expand over the grip. Now we're going to utilize the same shaft and just go to the next phase, which is replacing the Oar Stop. Oar Stop came out of the same convection oven, so it's nice and warm. I'm going to actually just put this in place. You got to have it someplace to push against. So we're going to put it in place there, and I'll let Alexis go ahead and get the grip on there.
sir,
Get that stop set up.
always going to emphasize it. Heat is your friend. Put this on there. You want to put it over the top, and things get a little complicated here, but not really. You want to go ahead and have a certain grip like this, kind of up on the, put your palms. Don't use your fingers, none of that. It's all in your palms. Put your palms right on the side right there. And you go ahead and just
Make it
pull
roll.
that down here. Usually this is what I do. I kind of roll it over the top right there first for me, because I struggle a little bit. So I'll roll it over the top right there, because it takes longer to do it that way with the form. After this is when you just go. You want to pull it down towards
Get some roll.
right there. You want to pull it, and you want to make sure that's how it's looking. That's how you know it's on its way down to the wrap. So you go one more time, and the more momentum you have with it, the more you don't stop, it's the better. Because the more you stop, it's gonna like set well, and then it's gonna be harder to move. So
move.
like that right there.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
And then right here, usually just keep it going right here.
Bam.
That's that right there.
Now you just kind of position it up a little bit, get it all set up to where you need it to be, and you are good to go. So that is basically our real quick and dirty. We've got a new grip replacement. We got new stops replaced. We replaced the rubber things that sit out there in the UV rays and definitely degrade through the time in the sun. And so that is our quick tips here at the shop. I'd like to thank Alexis for helping us out today. We will have Alexis back in a couple weeks for our next little chat. We'll go over to little different pieces of kind of the process, just sharing that how-tos with you and hopefully make you understand a little bit better of what the process is and how to take care of your product. So Alexis, thank you very much, my man.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great one.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Now, moving right along. I'm going to move into some new products that we have. And really, these aren't brand new, but this is new product in our line that you maybe are just not familiar with. So once again, I'm going to do my best to just kind of show some of the products that we have that maybe have been in our line for a little while and maybe your dealer doesn't carry them, or you weren't really 100% sure of what they, if that they were even in our line. So I want to talk a little bit about small boats and small boat oars. There's a lot of small boats out there now, a lot of those personal crafts made for just one person or two people, and they're not necessarily set up to go with a full 9-foot oar. So most of you are familiar with our Smoker Bandit. This is one of our most popular oars, and extremely light, carbon shaft, super lightweight. And one of the reasons that it's super lightweight is that the Bandit only has a 24-inch blade. All of our other oars in our line, all the oars here behind me, all have a 30-inch blade, but the Bandit comes with a 24-inch blade. Now that is by design, but also that gives it that super light swing weight and makes it so it pairs out really well with a small boat setup. But folks that are running these on a full-size boat, that's why they think that the blade is a little small, because it's a 24-inch blade. We are working on some different options there for that bigger blade option, but today we're talking about small boats and small blades. And the 24-inch blade is very key because it's not only available in the Bandit. We do offer the 24-inch blade in what we call our Stubby series, and it comes in a regular Dynalite Stubby or a shoal cut Dynalite Stubby. And if the control room can pop those up on the screen, they can actually show you the what packages they are. And these oars are basically set up as a package. And so what they are set up to come out as is that literally the blade is matched up with the shaft to give you a short oar package. And so if you're buying a packaged Stubby oar blade setup, you can buy that 8-footer or the 8.5-footer. The inside trick is if you actually have a normal set of oar shafts and you have a 30-inch blade and you have a second boat and you want a shorter oar, all you got to do is buy a shorter blade. So you buy a 24-inch blade and you automatically turn your 9-foot oars into 8.5-foot oars. So you can easily drop that half foot by just changing the blade. You do two things. You lighten up the swing weight for those shorter oars, and you've just shortened your shafts by just changing the blade. So Stubby oar packages are available right here on the screen, but also you can just mix and match. So you can order a 24-inch blade along with a 30-inch blade, and all of a sudden you've got one set of shafts that has two sets of oar sizes. And that becomes very important when you're trying to maximize what your swing weight is and actually kind of work with the geometry of your cockpit. So Stubby oar packages, that's our number one thing that we're showing off today. Second is we're going to go into Oarlocks. And a lot of you know that we make the Cobra Oarlock, the Canyon Oarlock, and all the A's and the minis. But today I'm here to talk about kind of the other Oarlock that we make that you maybe are not familiar with. And that is these two beauties right here. This is actually the King Cobra and the Black Mamba, which are the same castings as the regular Cobra and the Canyon, except they are cast out of Mag 90, which is a stronger bronze alloy than the Mag 70. And also, these are actually Cerakoted. So if you're familiar with Cerakoting, it's very big in the firearm industry. But the Cerakoting on the Oarlocks pretty much gives them a protection and also gives them a different look. Because if you cast Mag 90 and you cast Mag 70 and you set them out, they look exactly the same. So we had to do something. Cerakote was a perfect fit to kind of work with that. And so King Cobras and Black Mambas, and there's also a King Cobra Long. If you're looking for a little bit heavy duty or Oarlock, check those out. Both of those are available on our website as well. Now, I'm going to stick with the Oarlock discussion real quick, because the next thing I want to talk about is the geometry in the cockpit of your boat and how to fine tune your setup in your boat. Now, a lot of people don't know and are unfamiliar with something that we have that is a very simple product that makes a big, big impact on fine tuning and adjusting your Oarlock setup. This little package here is what we call an Oarlock Shim Kit. You've got 3 different sizes, and this is made so you can actually work with the geometry of your Oarlock setup and fine tune that to where you need it. And this is most important if you're actually, if say, you're banging your knees with your oars because your towers aren't tall enough. So if you need to make a tower adjustment, that is best and most simply done with a shim kit. And I'm going to show you real quick here. So we've got our Oarlock here. We want to change that geometry just a little bit. So we want just a short little fine tune. You can easily do just that 1/2 inch lock, and it just slides right in there like that. And you're perfectly set up where you've just changed that geometry. You've just raised that up just a little bit. Most folks will tune either on that one or on the 1 inch. And that is basically, those are the two most popular as far as just fine tuning that oar compartment, getting that tower just to the right height. But if you say you have a very, very older model frame, you definitely want to make some changes, and you can't really do all the welding that's needed to get that tower adjusted. You can actually go to the 2 inch, and that does work. We know folks that are running just a like a long shank Cobra or a Canyon and running that 2 inch spacer in there. And it makes a big difference because you've just changed all that geometry in the cockpit of your boat by a good couple inches. And that's really fine tuning that where you're at in your cockpit. So hopefully that's helpful. Shim kits are something that are available on our website. Not a lot of people know about them, and they make a big difference. They definitely help kind of fine tune and customize your cockpit setup. Now, I want to address we got the shim kits kicked up there, just so you know it, and they might be hard to find, but if you use the search bar on either one of our websites, search shim kits, you can find those and get into those real quick. But one of the things I want to do now is I want to address one of the questions that we get quite often, and that has to do with weight. right? And so we get questions quite a bit about, what's the weight difference between an MX blade oar setup and a square top. And when it comes down to weighing that specific one item, it doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant to actually how they're going to perform. Because if you need to kind of know, a square top and a same size MX with a Dynalite shoal cut blade on it, both going to be about the same weight, roughly around 8 pounds, plus or minus, maybe a quarter pound or so. Okay. So the oars themselves are perfectly the same weight. This is only going to matter when you're carrying them from your vehicle to the river. It doesn't matter at all when you're rowing, because the real difference in the weight is what we call swing weight. And the swing weight difference between a square top that's 8 pounds and an MX with a shoal cut blade on it that's 8 pounds is astronomically different. Even though they both weigh approximately 8 pounds, a square top is going to have way lighter swing weight than that MX without any counterbalance in it. That is why people put counterbalance handles in a composite, which kind of is counterintuitive because you're adding weight into the oar. So that oar is going to weigh more carrying it from the truck down to the boat, but you're basically trying to find that sweet spot because you're trying to lighten up that swing weight. So square tops have super light swing weight by design because they have a super light blade, diminished mass in the shaft, and an additional chunk of mass above the rowing fulcrum. So those three things together give the square top super light swing weight. Now a Bandit just is super light overall. So it is super light as far as the oar itself, weighs about maybe half of the weight of that square top, maybe 4.5 pounds on a 9-footer. But it, once again, remember, has a 24-inch blade and a full carbon fiber shaft. Therefore, it has super light swing weight because it is a super light oar. So hopefully that answers the question of how do I decide between the two on my weight issue. It really only matters if you're flying it in somewhere and you need to be real concerned with how much weight goes in the box when you're getting it to the river. Swing weight is the most important thing, and that's what we want to dial into when we're actually putting the oars in the Oarlocks and rowing down the river. All right, so hopefully that takes care of that. Other thing I want to just drive home with folks is that we touched last time about Alaska air shipping. We are able to ship oars to anywhere Alaska flies for that $115 marker. It is really becoming a big deal. What I want to talk about today is that you can ship 2 pair of oars in one box for that $115. So what this means is that, one, we want you to save money so you can actually get those to you for 115 bucks. That's definitely better than a lot of the ground services out there. But the other piece is talk to your buddies. If you need a pair of oars and your buddy needs a pair of oars and you're going to have to get them flown anyways, you might want to put those orders in at the same time, commingle that box. Now you've taken that $115 for shipping and cut that in half. So that's a save. That's a win all the way around. So keep that in mind. Pair up with a buddy and package up those oars, 4 in a box instead of 2. You're going to be money ahead. So shipping is becoming a big issue for us. We're constantly trying to figure out how we solve the issue, how we solve the problem. But definitely a little communication with your buddies. You might even be people that you guide against, and you definitely are all kind of battling for that same customer when they get to your town to go fishing with you. But when it comes down to getting some gear, hey, if you guys can all save a little money, get everybody together and ship one big shipment of oars, everybody wins out on that deal. So hopefully that's helpful. Now, I want to move along from that and move into what we were hoping we were going to actually do a live with. We were going to bring in the crew from the F3T film tour. As many of you know, if you don't know, the Sawyer is the Oar sponsor of the National F3T Film Tour. And so we will have a presence at several of these shows coming up. And so before we actually pull up and show you our calendar, I'm going to have the control room there pull up a little message we got from the F3T crew. They couldn't make it here live with us because they are traveling and it's really hard to kind of match their timeline. But we did get them to run a quick little video greeting for us. And they're getting set up, getting psyched for the show in Missoula, Montana. And so hopefully the control room can go ahead and pull that up real quick and get a little message from the F3T crew in Missoula, Montana.
What's up, F3T-aholics? We have just gotten into Missoula. We're here right now at the Wilma Theater. We got our awesome show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and we hope to see you there. But beforehand, folks, we have an awesome pre-party hosted by Swalla and NRS over at the Myrtle Street Tap House, giving away an awesome pair of Sawyer oars. And the more the merrier, folks. We hope to see you tomorrow night at the Wilma.
All right. So, F3T crew, it's all excited. They've made it to Montana. They made it to Missoula. We've got our crew is on their way there as well. So, like I said, we're going to be at that show. Feel free, if you can make it to that show, stop in at the Sawyer booth, chat up with our sales team there, check out some of the things we have going on. We've got scratchers going on this year. So, you scratch off a scratcher ticket, get yourself a discount, win yourself a discount anywhere from 10%. 20%, 25%, and there are some little sneakers in there of 50% off. So that's what everybody's looking for. There are also a few Lost Your Fly in the Tree winners in there. So if you get that, try again. Better luck next time. So if I can get the control room to help me out here just a second and put up the schedule and kind of see where we're going to be next. So our crew is on their way like the F3T crew, and they're heading there to Missoula. But we actually have several shows coming up real quick here in the Pacific Northwest. So obviously, if you're in Missoula tomorrow night, make it over to the Wilma and check out the F3T show. Like Brady said, I think that kicks off at 7 o'clock. There's a pre-show or a pre-event also going on at a tap house there. So you can follow them. Follow F3T if you want to get all the pre-show little details going up. But also, we will be in West Seattle right after that. I think that is on February 6th. We will be in Portland, Oregon on February 7th. And then we will be in Boise in the middle of February. And we'll be in Salt Lake in the end of the February. So all of the shows you see here, if you see a show listed on this calendar on our site, what that tells you is that two things. One, there will be the Sawyer crew there at that event. And two, and most importantly, there will be a pair of square top oars given away at every show listed there. So if you are in those towns or you are near those locations, you may want to mark your calendar to go to that F3T show, because just by going there and signing into their system that you're at that show, you have a chance to win a pair of square tops. Also, we are participating in the grand prize drawing. So even if you don't win a pair of oars at that show, that puts you into the full tour drawing for another chance to possibly win a pair of square tops. So you have two chances to win square tops. So if the F3T film crew comes through your town, definitely check it out. Go see the show, go see the crew. And if you see this event listed here, then you can definitely have a chance to win a pair of square tops. So, do we have any questions, comments, concerns? Well, hopefully you were able to check this out. Hopefully we were not blurry. We are trying to figure this all out and just make sure that our tech is actually working real good. So hopefully our streaming came through well for you, everybody. If you do have questions that you would like us to address, leave us a message here on this posting, or you can just send us an email. We do monitor all those things, and we bring those into our discussion every 2 weeks and try and address those. We will have Alexis back. We'll go over the little recap of some things that we covered last time, which basically is that we do have the pre-molded pro tips available now. People are starting to find those, so check those out. Those are on both websites. And we will dial into a little bit more detail on how that process works, but it is one of those ways that you can extend the life of your square tops mainly and get a new pro tip on them and get them back on the water. But for the Sawyer Factory and Sawyer Live, that does it for us today. Please, if you get out on the water, remember, be patient, be kind, and we will see you on the river. Bye for now, everyone.